Good morning, Vietnam! I'm kidding. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sent on a Thursday. We're here with Mr. Joel Fisher, lender, mortgage expert extraordinaire,
Yes.
the home loan guy. That's what I've always called you.
Sure.
It definitely didn't just start right now. You are the home loan guy. So welcome to the group. We're super excited to have you. Super excited to get to know more about you, build a relationship with you, and
Yes.
help you grow your business, and vice versa. So let's get into it. How long have you been in mortgages? We'll start with an easy one.
I've been doing this 5 years, 5.5, going on to 6 now. So they're kind of blending together.
Awesome. What is your company, and what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I am with Absolute Mortgage and Lending. Best way to get a hold of me is either call or text. My number is 701-367-2434. And usually I always pick up my phone, so probably the best way.
Awesome. Love it. Now, at least for me, so I was someone that was in the real estate world for a long, long time, and when I had clients approach lenders, the first thing was always, are they a broker or do they sell the product in-house? Tell us about Absolute and the product that they sell, which sets your clients up for success the most.
Yes, so we are called a correspondent lender. So we're not a broker. We're not completely retail. We do a lot of stuff in-house, but we have the option to broker things out as well. So we're kind of that middle ground, kind of the sweet spot, if you will, for some people.
Awesome. How many different products do you have?
There's a ton within the broker world. There's there's asset-based loans. There is like non-traditional credit type loans. There's like everything you think of. We probably do at some point.
Awesome.
There's a whole bunch.
Awesome. That's great. What's the ideal client, the ideal loan that you're looking for right now?
I like doing VA loans for military people. I like conventional loans. Generally with conventional, you have to have a higher credit score. You have to have money down, so they're just in a better financial spot.
Sure.
And I always make sure that my people are in a good spot to buy a house. Sometimes you can't buy a house on paper. It may not be the best decision for you in actual life.
Got it.
So.
Okay. Got it. And when it comes to the pre-approval, pre-qualification process, what does that look like? Someone comes to you and says, Joel, I want to buy a house. What is the first thing, what does the next part of the conversation look like from your end?
Yeah, I was like, great, let's sit down, let's chat, kind of go through your finances, kind of go through what you want to do with a home, what's your goal, and just get all the questions out the way. A lot of times they'll be like, let's get pre-approved right away, and that's fine. But let's go through and make sure there's no red flags, things we need to address first to get you prepared to buy a home. So I'll sit down with them, go through all their questions, make sure that they are educated and kind of know the process. And then I like to get them pre-approved. And I actually like to do it for them. I'll go through the application with them, and that helps me understand, what their work history is, what their income history is, and I can kind of pick up any red flags in that sense. Generally, when they just fill an application online, that's great. I have to come back to them anyways because there's always things that they miss because they just don't know the full steps to take. So
Sure. Now, I know that there are a lot of people out there that say, hey, I want to go buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, realtor at ABC Realty or whatever it might be, go show me a house and we'll get pre-approved later. Is that a bad idea for them?
It's not a bad idea because they can kind of get a feel for what the home prices are, what they like in a house. They may not know their price point yet, so it's always good to get pre-approved, but it's not harmful to go and just look at homes to see what you like, and
Sure.
what what's a $500,000 versus $300,000 versus $700,000. Kind of see the difference in what you like, and then you get pre-approved, and okay, here's where your range is for qualifying.
Sure, absolutely. And what are steps that you're taking right now with your clients to beat out the competition? Because we all know there's 1.5 million mortgage companies and mortgage lenders that say they're the best. What makes you the best for the clientele here in the Springs?
Getting them fully pre-approved, making sure they have the money to get the down payment, make sure they can afford their payment they're looking at, they can pull the trigger whenever they're ready. The other part is working with good realtor partners that are able to get seller concessions to buy the rate down, or look at a 3-2-1 buy down, 2-1 buy down, where your interest rate starts lower the first year and kind of moves up.
Okay.
The biggest thing for me is just being prepared.
And what can clients do to be prepared? Segment's great into the next question.
Yeah.
What can clients do to be prepared? How can you prepare them, or what do they need to do?
If they're looking to buy like 6 months down the road, work on your credit, get some stuff paid off, make sure you're not missing any payments. As far as the down payment, start saving up your money. Start saving up what you need. Generally, it's 3.5% for FHA, 5% for conventional. So can you, are you looking at $400,000 range? Do you have the money to put that down up front? So start saving, and I'd say paying off debt. Those are the two biggest things that are going to put you in the best position to buy a house.
Sure, got it. What is one of the biggest misconceptions in the lending world that you come across that you'd like to debunk in front of all of us right here?
Needing 20% down, I still hear it from time to time. You don't need 20% down to buy a house. FHA product is a 3.5% down, conventional is 5%. 20% gets rid of mortgage insurance, so it can result in a lower payment on a conventional loan. That's why it's kind of out there. But you don't need 20% down to buy a house.
Sure. Explain mortgage insurance. I know that's kind of what am I trying to say? Maybe a little,
We call it trash money.
Trash money. All right, explain trash money. That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, if you have less than 20% down, you're stuck with mortgage insurance, basically insurance that the lender puts on as just additional money, essentially, in case you default. Kind of came about when 2008 happened. Everyone, foreclosed and couldn't pay their mortgage. Now they have an insurance on. They figure once you have 20% equity in your house, you're more likely going to pay for your house and continue paying, so they take it off. But prior to that, it's just kind of
and it's required on all VA, conventional FHA loans, all types of loans?
It's required on conventional loans. Once you get 20% equity into your house, it falls off. FHA is for the life of the loan, unless you put 10% down, so it's kind of a weird thing. VA, there's no mortgage insurance. So I love the VA loan. Usually results in a cheaper monthly payment. And then USDA, there is, I think, a little bit of mortgage insurance on it.
Awesome. So, yeah, I know. I read a statistic years ago that stated that VA has the lowest default rates out of all the different categories and whatnot when it comes to people who buy houses.
That's true.
VA has the military people and VA people, they pay their bills. So it seems like that's, they get a loan, they're going to pay it. And that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, if they're active military, their pay is, it's pretty straightforward. If they're retired and they have VA disability or retirement, that's very straightforward. So yeah, VA has one of the lowest default rates.
Sure.
FHA has the highest one.
Awesome.
Like 10%.
Awesome. Now, once everyone gets this information to you and you're able to, lock in a rate, you've got them pre-qualified, you've got them pre-approved, they're under contract.
Yep.
What is the process between contract to close? How long does it take? What else does the buyer need to do? Or what does it look like from your end from, contract to close?
Yep, we get the contract in. I get the file all written to the contract. If there's any seller concessions, what's the down payment, all that good stuff. And then I start collecting any additional documents out there. Mm-hmm. I generally get all their income documents up front just to verify income, get their bank statements to verify assets. After that, it's kind of more little things like verifying some credit things. We have like a wire fraud that we want signed because wire fraud's a pretty intense thing right now. So just getting all the little remaining documents. On the realtor side, they'll get an inspection ordered. On our side, we get an appraisal ordered. So two things that usually come up. And then once we get all the documents, we'll get what's called clear to close. Essentially, after the mortgage is signed off on the loan, you are good to buy your house, essentially.
Sure. Is there a way around an appraisal at any point in time?
When you're buying a purchase, usually not. The only time you get an appraisal waiver is if you're doing like a refinance. If you just drop your rate quite a bit, and you drop your terms, sometimes you can get an appraisal waiver because the value is still there. You're not changing the value much.
Got it.
That's part of the only case. If you're buying a house, you might have to get an appraisal pretty much every time.
Got it. Okay. And what's the typical? I know the real estate market has done a lot of this, especially this over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What is the typical timeline as far as contract close?
It's always kind of been like a 30-day standard out there. We can do it sooner than that, 20 days, 25. I like 30, gives us a lot of time just to get everything done. It usually results in a smoother loan. If there are someone on a time crunch, we can do it faster.
Sure. What's the fastest you've ever been able to close a loan?
I think the fastest was like 14 days from like contract to actual close.
Sure. Was that a file that you had picked up right at the beginning, or were they already under contract and you were a lender that had come in during the contract period, kind of picked up the pieces really quick?
That's one that I did not pick up. It was to me, but they had like really tight deadlines. Like, hey, we're moving. We got to get done by this. Our rent is up at this date. So yeah, we just had to move really fast.
Sure. Awesome. Now, I know what your 3 favorite words are in the industry. But tell us, what does CTC mean, and why is it so exciting?
CTC means clear to close. You are done. You can relax. The file is all good to go, and we're on the closing.
I love it.
Yep,
Awesome.
CTC.
Well, that's it. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
How do we get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me by phone call or text. My number again is 701-367-2434. My email is Joel, Joel, Fischer, FISCHER, @absoluteml as in mortgagelending.com.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you guys.
Questions?